Welcome to Champion Stepdad Podcast. We are exploring the unique role of stepdads and how to apply performance psychology skills to become better father figures and role models. Building a band of brothers by focusing on empathy and accountability. Empathy because being a stepdad is tough. Accountability because I get it. Being a stepdad is tough, but you chose this role, so do it as best as you can. My name is Neil Wadier. I'm a 16-year stepdad. I'm also a resilience trainer and a performance consultant, encouraging you to join the Champion Stepdad Facebook group, get involved, and grow your band of brothers. This is my first episode since deciding to take a Christmas break. And yes, I realize it's May. So I took a Christmas break. I took a few weeks to finish my final master's degree course, which was grueling. Took a couple weeks, which turned into a couple months. And between working on business and considering options for jobs, then searching for jobs that didn't lead to anything, I'm not sure what the word is to describe what came over me. I understand the value of persistence and the importance of determination. The number of rejections grew so high, both in business propositions, business proposals, and job applications. And then on top of that, I still have a few years left of military service, but I'm not sure which direction that's heading and where the path lies. I'm frustrated to think that it might be ending on a boring few years after having so many exciting years, and fading out rather than finding fulfillment and excitement in the end of a nearly 30-year career. So yeah, I've been a little flustered, frustrated, distracted. I throw in a lot of verbs and adjectives and interesting words, but just getting back to basics and focusing on myself, focusing on my relationship with my family has been calming and relaxing. And it's probably the best thing that I could have done for myself. I realize that you don't grow in your comfort zone. I've said it many, many times on this podcast. I've said it to mental performance clients. But after years of challenge and growth, I didn't feel bad about taking some time for myself. I just finished an 18-month, really difficult master's program, and I just needed a little bit of time off, and a little bit turned into a little bit more. And I don't feel bad about that, but I feel like something clicked in the last couple of days, and I started typing out some notes and felt like now was a good time to kick it back off. So here I am. And I see that people are still listening to the podcast. I have not been checking much into the Facebook group, and I'll be jumping back into the group and trying to re-engage with everyone. But honestly, when I say I took a break, man, I took a break from damn near everything. I wasn't on social media. I was looking for jobs, but then I just stopped because nothing was panning out. And it really was, I dove into my stepdad, stay-at-home dad role. And it's not going to lie, it was pretty amazing. And, some of the stuff that I was doing, I really didn't miss. So I took some time for myself, and here we are. People that are still listening to the numbers vary as far as the number of listens and downloads and all that. But it just clearly shows that even when I just stepped away unannounced, people are still there. People are still looking for information. There's always going to be experienced and new stepdads that are looking for that information and how to be a stepdad or how to be a better father figure and role model. And I appreciate your desire to learn, your desire for self-reflection, and your willingness to put yourself out there and learn some things. The first step to education is admitting your ignorance. If you don't admit that you don't know something, you're not going to learn anything new. And that's very, very important. And for some people, it's really, really difficult to do. But after that first step, every step after that first step is willingness to challenge your core beliefs, to challenge the way that you think, to challenge the emotions that you feel and the behaviors that you exhibit that are based off of your beliefs, your thoughts, your emotions. And this is not about doing everything right. Perfection is an illusion which causes greater harm than good. Perfectionism in sport is not good, regardless of those people that talk about, oh, this athlete was out there on the field and, oh, they just work until they get it perfect. Wrong. That is not what they're doing. They're looking for they are in the constant pursuit of excellence, the constant pursuit of getting better, of refining and practicing. And there's a big difference. Perfection is an end result that you will never see. Excellence never ends. So that athlete who's practicing, refining, experimenting, performing, reviewing, and then beginning again with more practice every single day, every athlete, foot stomp for emphasis, every single athlete at every single level has multiple coaches to help them point out things that they really didn't consider before, or a way that they can practice just a little bit better. Michael Jordan, arguably one of the greatest athletes in the history of sport, he had a basketball coach, fitness coach, a nutritionist, mental performance, physical therapist, massage therapist. He had so many people on his side helping him refine, to recover, to work smarter. So how many coaches, mentors, counselors, guides, or leaders do you have in your life? And take a minute and think about that honestly. One of the core values of Champion Stepdad is accountability. And I want you to hold I want you to hold yourself accountable right now. How many people do you look for guidance and advice? Books and podcasts are good, but they don't look you in the face and hold you accountable once you close them or turn them off. And I've struggled with this myself. We relocated to Phoenix, Arizona in 2020. And we relocated in the middle of the pandemic when everything was shut down. Neighbors weren't coming out and talking to each other. Nobody was having events. Nobody was having barbecues. There were no community picnics or movies in the park to go to. So my friends, being military, I haven't lived in the same place for an extended period of time. So my friends are scattered throughout the world. And I've been stationed in the Middle East and in Korea, and I've got friends in England and France and Germany and Italy and Australia and New Zealand, these people that I've served with. But are they really holding me accountable from that distance? Are we having that close relationship? So I can't just look and say, yeah, I've got some really good friends. Really? Yes, I've got a couple friends that I talk to infrequently. But are those people really, really looking me in the face and holding me accountable for what I need to be doing? Do they even see what I'm doing and what I need to do better? That's not accountability. I need more responsible and close friends. I need more guys in my life to watch me, to talk to me, and to call me out and hold me accountable. And I am working on that. That is my responsibility. Went to a work picnic. My wife's work had a picnic, and they had a food in the park, and they had a pickup softball game. And I met some of the other spouses from the ladies that she works with at the hospital. And we talked, we hit it off, and we had a few drinks, and we were playing some games and having some fun. We're getting together for golf next weekend, and we'll see what happens. And I'm hopeful, a little guarded, because I don't just put myself out there for anyone, and neither should you. You have to build those relationships. And trust is the foundation that builds things like honest discussion and accountability. In order to find those things, you have to put yourself out there. You have to be more willing than you are guarded. Yes, you need to be a little bit guarded. You don't want to just put yourself out there for anyone, because I don't expect you to do that either. But I'm doing it. I'm finding people that I can hang out with, that I can trust, that I can build that trusting relationship with. So eventually they can know that they're the kind of guys that we have that relationship where they can say something. So we're working on it. And I hope that you're working on it too. So where do we go from here? As far as the community is what it is. Hopefully it's just as much yours as it is mine. I didn't create this thing to sell products and, to sell coaching. I do that stuff, yes, but that's not why I did the Facebook group. I built the group because I needed to build my community. And if you want to make this your community, that's great. I hope you do. This podcast is just as much for me to talk about my issues. And I hope that I made that clear, that I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to share information that I have, share my experiences, my struggles, and hope that you can identify with that and you can learn something and you can take it away into your life. And then possibly use that to be a mentor and a father figure, not only to your stepchildren and your children, but also to your friends. So as far as the podcast, I like to get back to an episode every week. I think it's a good plan, and I'd like to host a guest every other week, and then the opposite week to just have a subject and host a discussion about it. And you've been gracious to provide feedback both through direct messages within the Facebook group. To join the Facebook group, you have to answer a certain number of questions. And one of those is, what is your biggest challenge as a stepdad? And I appreciate your responses, and I appreciate your willingness to share of, hey, this is what I struggle with. Because you have to admit that there's an issue. You have to admit that there's something that you need to learn. You have to admit your ignorance before you can really learn anything. And when I have guests, I'm going to focus on people that can address and provide information about the issues that you've brought up, while also considering some people who may be able to give information advice that you may not have considered. So it's going to be a combination of, on those alternate weeks, and picking a subject and give my thoughts, my experiences, possibly even some tools and techniques that you could find useful. And during these discussions, I ask you two things. Number one, be open-minded. I used to say that a lot to people who would come into resilience discussions and resilience workshops in the military, because sometimes they get a bad rap and people come in and they don't even want to be there if you can get them to show up. But I tell people, when you walk in the door, just walk in the door interested. If you can walk in the door interested and be open to what I'm going to say, I'm about 99% sure I'm going to catch you, because it's good information and it's helpful information. When your gut tells you to call bullshit, or to even call me an idiot and say that you don't believe me, you don't believe anything that I'm talking about, just listen and consider what I'm saying. You're here for a reason, right? You showed up for a reason. So just consider what I'm saying and what it could mean to you and how it could possibly help you. The second thing is, be ready to challenge yourself. So show up interested and leave ready to do something about it. Data is just a collection of symbols and letters and numbers. Like, you can collect all kinds of data, but until you turn it into useful information is data organized into, like database or some type of collection of resources. It's not just about listening. It's about ingesting and digesting, figuring out how you can apply the information. And when you talk about applying the information, focus first on what you can do to best adapt, not necessarily what you can do to or for other people, but how this affects you internally. And that would probably be my number one takeaway for today, other than, hey, welcome back, is locus of control. And, when I was working with some of my high school athletes, I talked to them a lot about, there's a lot of circumstances. Things are going to happen. Life is crazy. Locus of control is your perception about the underlying main causes of events in your life. Do you believe that your destiny is controlled by yourself or by external forces? And no, you can't control everything that's going to happen. And even when we talk about your destiny or your big vision of what you want to see in your life, I've got some big visions in my life, and it hasn't really panned out. Maybe not yet. Maybe they won't at all. There are certain things I can control. There are certain things that I can influence. And there are certain things that I can neither control nor influence. And I have to realize what some of those things are. And one of the drills that I like to do with people is, it's two circles. You've got a small circle inside of a big circle. In the small circle, you write things that are directly within your control. Directly within your control. On the outside of that small circle, but inside the big circle, is things that you can influence. How can you influence things to change or adapt or get better? Or on a bad day, you can influence things to be bad, to go wrong. And there's some accountability for you, because yes, I want you to do good things, but sometimes it's also being aware of the stupid shit that you're doing and some of the stuff that you should stop trying to do. right? So you got the small circle, you got the big circle, and outside of the large circle, you have no control and you have no influence. And it sounds obnoxious, but I start with the weather. I mean, what are some of the things, the circumstances, other people on the road? Can you control them? No. Then why are you letting them inside your head? Right? It's like the youth football player that I work with. He drops the ball, and it's totally his responsibility. And he's allowing the defensive player to talk crap to him and get inside his head. Yeah, you dropped the ball, next play. But instead, for the next 5 plays, you're going to be pissed off that you dropped the ball and you let this guy get inside your head. It's the same thing. And that's why I like using performance psychology with being a stepdad or being a spouse or just being a guy out in the world, because you've got all these things that are happening. The majority of your time and energy should be focused on what you can directly control. The majority of your energy and your focus should be on what you can directly control. The small remainder should be directed at where you can influence. And you should be spending no energy on what you can't control and what you can't influence. It makes no sense to be angry about the other drivers that are on the road. It makes no sense. And I've done it. I feel it. It happens to me too. This is not me telling you what to do. This is me telling myself that I don't need to be doing that, because I still do that. It still happens. I'm better because of the awareness and the tools and the techniques that I use in order to get better at those things. So rather than throw a whole bunch of them at you, I'm just going to throw the one at you. These circles, the small circle where you control, the larger circle where you influence, and outside of those, no control, no influence. So go find a pen and paper, draw a large circle with a small circle inside of it, and start writing down those things. Accountability becomes real when you put it out to the world. Whether you write it down on a piece of paper or you tell somebody else about it, that is accountability, because until it's out in the world, there's no real accountability, because you as a person, you legitimately can, even on some of your good days, you can justify and rationalize just about anything. So put it out to the world, put it on paper. I want you to spend the weekend just thinking about those things, what you can control, what you can influence, what is not within your control and your influence. And it starts to alleviate you, tries to, of responsibility for those things that are outside. And you can start looking at, I can control me, I can influence a few others, and then put your energy there. Thank you for listening to Champion Stepdad Podcast. I have 2 tasks for you to take this week, for this upcoming week. First, choose an action from today's conversation and implement it in your life. We already talked about the circles. Second, share this podcast and the community with somebody who desires becoming a better stepdad. I appreciate your direct messages and your feedback. I appreciate your online review of the podcast, your honest ratings and reviews. Help me improve the show and help others find our community. I hope you have a great week.